All right, we're live. Good, good. Okay, so people are starting to join, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm so glad you're here because um I've been I've been fangirling over your visuals for a long time on Substack. So today I'm here with Pinky, whose real name is Sylvia, from AI Meets Girl Boss. And I've just happened to see her in my feed, and she does these amazing sketched images for her brand, and they're really nice. They're very consistent across all of her entire platform. And she did some really cool things, which as a marketer, I love. She created a sketchbook with different creators and she put me in the sketchbook. And I'm like, hey, I have to go live with her because I made her sketchbook. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I've been really digging your work. So um, why don't you? Well, for you guys who know me, I'm Carrie Loranger. I'm the founder of the 9 to Thrive newsletter on Substack, and this is actually being recorded on my podcast as well, which is the Creator Cash Flow Show, available on Apple and Spotify. So, um, Sylvia, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, and it's so nice to speak to you in person, or at least across the oceans in person. And thank you so much for that really, really nice intro. I'm going to put this out there. This is my first live on Substack. So be nice in the comments and share a lot of hearts. Like I will think it's for you. So please send the pink hearts. It will make us feel so much better, at least me. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I run AI Meets Girl Boss, which is a Substack channel for basically building brands with AI. And interestingly, people have been very, very interested in the visual side of branding. So that's, I would say, 80% of where I focus my energies on within branding with AI at the moment. Of course, there's so much more to it. That's your voice and the consistency. So yeah, that's what I do on here, and it's it's a startup for coming from Substack. It's a brand new brand. So happy to be
Yeah,
here.
but you have quite a background in branding.
Yeah, I actually I used to study psychology, and from psychology I moved to branding, and I work at a branding agency. We're helping bigger clients building their brands. And I actually moved to a new role a few months ago, and which is mostly strategy, which is great, which is like the best part of branding, I would say. But at the same time, like the creative parts of my work kind of vanished, or and I was like, AI could be a really good tool where I can play and find creativity again and just create stuff with my own hands. So this whole journey is something that I'm also learning a lot. So I have the branding background, and I do know something about AI, but it's really interesting that I'm learning all about how to build brands with AI in the process. So that's what I'm sharing in my Substack newsletter.
Yeah. So I wanted to just talk about the concept of visual branding because there's just huge opportunity for good visual branding on Substack. And I have an 18-year, well, more than that now, 20 plus year career in marketing as well. So, and I've been a branding fanatic since a very young age. But visual branding it's very powerful. And from my perspective, and I'll let you chime in too, but my perspective is because it builds a consistent look and feel, and it can quietly tap into somebody's emotions. It can make them feel something when you have a good visual brand. Um, of course, there's lots of ways to go with visual branding, but um, and once they start feeling something, and then they see that consistently across every touch with your brand, that's when they start to build trust. They realize you're consistent and you represent something that's strong and powerful. So, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think consistency is a signal. So it's about so it's not really about being pretty. It's mostly about being recognizable. So if you have a brand that is consistent and you show up the same way to your audience, then they'll start to recognize you. And it's also like, I would say, reads like reliability. So, and that reads as trust as well. So consistency is really important when you show up every day. Imagine if you, like, there's so many people writing and leaning on their writing only on Substack. And the way to stand out at the moment is to actually have that extra visual layer, because not a lot of people are doing that yet. And if you do that consistently, people will also start to recognize you. So it's a 2-second decision. If, if someone's trying to discover, or they're not even trying to discover any new Substack course yet, they're just scrolling their notes, and you have a 2-second time frame to stop their thumbs from scrolling, and it could get your writing a second chance. So something people wouldn't necessarily click on if, unless you have like a really great visual attached, because a lot of people are just generating images with AI or using stock images, or not even paying a second thought to what preview image they attach to their thumbnail actually. And that's just the preview, because I've built a visual brand, like a whole world around my brand. So it's everywhere. It's not just the preview image. So
Yeah. I was just on a call with my paid member call, and I see Robin, and we were just talking about this. Robin is here in the live, and we were just talking about this because she does luxury travel. This kind of her one of her niches. And I said, start posting some of those beautiful travel images. It will get you some attention, especially if it's across your entire Substack publication. So and I wanna kinda lean into Substack specifically. I mean, that's where we are, and that's what we're talking about. So, on Substack, everybody has a homepage, and how they set that homepage up matters a lot. I've created sections on mine. The sections tend to have a little bit of a theme to distinguish between each section. My Creator Economy Recon report comes out Saturday. That's my new Saturday newsletter edition, and, it's more about how the news of the week is going to impact us as creators and what you should do. It gives some commentary. So that has a totally different brand
Mm,
look and feel than the rest of my page. So you can use these things to sort of separate out the
yeah.
different areas that you talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually just talking to a paid subscriber yesterday. We're working together and doing her rebrand. It's a front row. It's called the front row. It's a one-on-one consultation series, basically. And I was just telling her this because she was like, "Do I need to set one specific style for my page?" And I was like, "You can have like you can brand your sections as well." So what you're saying actually makes a lot of sense. And I think someone who does that really well, I was just checking out Jenny Young's page from Built to Launch, because she does that really well. For her like free posts, she has a different style than for her like paid deep dive series. And it just, you look at it and it just makes sense, and you don't even need to think about it like, am I in a different section? You just see it and you know it. So that's what we should.
Mm, yeah. Um, Now I've been doing visuals. Well, I'm a photographer from, again, a long time. It's been my hobby for since I was little. And so I lean towards wanting more photorealistic images for my Substack. Now, when I mean, I literally started on black and white film cameras and then sort of evolved through color and then digital and then the quick cams. And, today here we are creating images with AI, and I've embraced all of it. And I started out on Midjourney. And
Hmm.
I don't know if any of you have used Midjourney, but it is amazing for just some beautiful images. But I pretty much I test everything that comes out. So Kling, ideogram, there's tons of them out there now for generating images. but what's your kind of go-to favorite tool right now that you're using?
Oh my god, this has been a real saga in the past few weeks, I would say. Um, I really like Nano Banana Pro for a really long time, and actually up to this day, that's the tool that is the best for consistency for me. So it follows my brand rules so well in terms of visuals, like line work, colors, brush strokes, a lot of that stuff because my branding is a fashion illustration actually, so it's not like generating photographs or something like that. And then ChatGPT launched Images 2.0 a couple of weeks ago, and I actually canceled ChatGPT a week before that, and ChatGPT sent me like this notification, like, please don't go, stay for 1 month on us. I'm like, okay, he was going to say no to a 3 months. And they launched Images 2.0. And kudos to the person who did that and the timing because I'm just hooked. And I barely generate in Nano Banana or Gemini anymore. What it's really good for is text rendering. And actually, on my page, the past few weeks, we've been doing some really fun, really low entry point experiments of like generating like Forbes spreads of ourselves and comic strips of our posts to make, visual too long didn't reads for our posts for people who are like more visual readers. And it's just so fun. So if anyone wants to, you know, put their toe into visual branding or creating visuals with AI, there's a ton of new experiments on my page. So check that out. And I
Yeah,
know you gave it a go as well.
yeah, I would love to see what you've got. The problem with us for creators is that we're so busy,
Yeah.
and then we have to figure out how to learn a system for prompting and getting the right images, and, um, I I can tell you what I did, but meanwhile, I wanna just mention to the audience, um, drop any questions in the chat because, I'd love to hear what other people are doing and, if they have questions about anything, um, we can try to answer. So one of the things is for creators, you have to find your visual style. If you're using AI, then you need to prompt consistently.
Yeah.
I don't know what you did. I'll tell you what I did. I
What did
built
you
I went into
do?
Lovable and I built an app that knows it knows my style and it generates prompts for me.
Nice.
And I mean, I can't give it to anybody because it's all built on my everything that I do. And then I will go into Midjourney and create them, or I'm using ChatGPT like you. It's amazing. Um, Midjourney doesn't always get your likeness into the image very
Mm.
well. It has a lot
Yeah,
of
that's
struggle
true.
with that. Um, I haven't found a way to do it consistently, but ChatGPT does it every time if you give it the right reference image. So what have you found with that?
Same. So very similar. Like the consistency in like copying facial features. I think that's something that I'm really picky with that because of course no one wants to change their facial likeness, especially if your visual branding is built on like photos like yours is.
Mhm.
I Actually, yours are so good. It took me some time until I realized these aren't professional photos of you. So well done with that, Carrie.
You're not the first person that said that. You're
Yeah,
not.
you did a
Yeah.
really, really good job. And what I do is I actually have a cloth scale built up, which takes me through like the full visual branding process. So once I have a post, it generates visual concepts for me for the cover based on the messaging in the post, and then I pick, a couple of my top favorites, usually one or two, and it generates the prompt for me, and it already has all my brand rules, so it's really the same prompt over and over again, but setting the scene. And if you look at my brand, I have a flamingo. That's how people started referring to me on the Pink Flamingo Substack page. And something I'm really particular about is that the flamingo always needs to be present. So some visuals, you have it hidden like a really small brand Easter egg in the background. And sometimes it's one of the main characters, but then it needs to be like in a really judgmental and like really, I'm the boss here situation. And
I
and
mean,
the system is set up in a way that it generates the prompt and the concept in a way that happens. So yeah, but I also really like artifacts in Claude. So in terms of non-image gentles, Claude is my go-to tool actually. So that's where I do all
yeah.
my yeah.
Yeah, you
my-
built a really nice, uh, I guess it's a cloud artifact.
Yeah.
It had the so many images that people need for their brand, and it was cool. I mean, yeah, I ran that and it was nice. It produced really good images for
And
12
actually,
shots people need.
yeah, that's just um what you mentioned, like people don't really have time to learn good prompting and actually figure out their brand and then, spend as much time on it as I did. So I sometimes it was my sleep that's that suffered
Yeah,
because of it. But that's what I'm trying to do is to make the entry point really easy. So once I come up with a system, I try to generate like artifacts or just add it to the prompt world so people can just easily copy paste and fill in as little as possible just to make it like them. So that's something that I want to make sure that people get, that it's really accessible.
yeah. So let me just address a couple of questions here. We got somebody fangirling you, Pinky, in real life.
Yay.
You're a
Yeah.
legend.
I put
And
on
then
my flamingo suit, so
yeah. I love it. And then Robin says, "Do you suggest magazine style or other?" Here, it depends on what you like.
Mm,
It's personal preference entirely, Robin. So I would say get enough content up there to look at it visually and see what you like. Each style has its advantages, each
yeah.
layout style.
Yeah, the only
Um,
thing you need to pay attention to is like, where you put your main character on the cover, because like magazine style is a great example for like cutting off quite a lot from your image. So I
yeah.
think that's something that you need to take into consideration. If you have a lot of things going on in your visual, not all of the styles will look good with your visuals. But if you have like one focal point, almost anything will work with it.
Yeah, I'm noticing some of my, podcast covers are getting cut right now, and I went in and replaced them, and they're still cut off, so
Mm.
I gotta go work on that this weekend, but and then Chad is saying, "Hey, it's nearly 2:30 here in Japan."
Yeah.
I passed out. Thank you for joining, Chad, I appreciate it.
That is my
Maybe
co-author on my latest post about magazine covers. We created 22 prompts so you can generate a magazine spread in your style, like National Geographic or Rolling Stone or Wired magazine,
yeah,
even FHM. So Chad was the brain, the creative mind behind that, like figuring out all the styles. So thanks for being here, Chad.
so fun. Maybe you can drop in the chat where people can get those links. Where do they live? Those those,
um,
uh, those prompts?
they live in my post, and it's a free post. So
Okay.
the prompts are actually a downloadable Word document, so pretty easy to reach them. I'll just drop them.
If not, we
Right.
can just go to your homepage too. Enjoy. Wow, Midjourney still does not do likeness well. I mean, so they just launched 8.1 and they changed character reference from character, which I was in the early days of that. Well, actually, I was in the early days where we needed to use face swap through Discord. That's how early I was in Midjourney. We could do it semi okay once in a while that way, and then they added the character reference, and now then they changed it to omni reference.
Mm,
So Midjourney 7 does pretty well with it. Sometimes, like, out of 4 images it produces, I'll usually get 1 that's close. But it's challenging, and now 8.1, I'm very unclear on what 8.1 there's no Omni and there's no character, but there's style reference, so I'm not sure how that's going to work out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what any other questions. Flamingo, people are fans. Kim, I don't do anything without thinking about my brand now. Pinky.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah,
ChatGPT, they really up their game within this generation now. So yeah.
yeah, yeah, they did. Um, the other thing I wanna call out is this guy I've been working with, his name's Powell Bogoki. You familiar with Powell?
No,
He's
unfortunately.
actually based in Poland. He's somewhat
Oh,
new. Yeah,
okay.
he's in
I'm
your neck of
Hungary.
the
I'm
woods.
from Hungary, so I Polish.
Yeah,
So.
he's your neighbor.
Almost.
Um, but he's also he has a huge background as a photographer, and then he was in the printing industry, and now he makes these amazing images,
Mm.
and they're based on emotions. It's all about ho he uses he asked me what I liked about my images, and I told him, and then he created a whole series of images just based on what I liked about them, how it made me feel. It was amazing. And he does they're more like art. They're just beautiful images if you get a chance to check him out. But he just released an ebook, um, this morning, I think, even about sort of that whole concept of the feeling and how to, get good results from just the feeling part of it. So how did you land on your brand style? That's what I was wondering. The sketchbook type fashion.
Yeah. Um, Believe it or not, I spent more time on my actual voice. So for me, I before I started the whole Substack journey, it was like 5 months till I convinced myself that I had something to say. So I was like, there's nothing interesting about what I have to say. And that's just not true. If someone is thinking that about themselves, you do have something interesting about you. So what I did was actually took parts of my personality, my how I speak, my opinions, and I just built an online character around that, and that's what Pinky became. And first, it was just like really, like the usual AI generated like blonde woman with a pink blouse in an office. So it was like really beige. And and since I'm in branding, like my second post, I was like, this is not going to work. This is so boring. This looks boring. Like I'm bored with my own visual. And I just started a really interesting experiment of like researching illustration styles. I'm not a graphic designer. I do work with graphic designers, and I know that a lot of the times, like what you're trying to say actually lives in the method or the visual style that you're using. And I just decided to, take that blonde woman that I generated and just run her through different illustration styles. And I tried. I also have a post about this, so I'm just going to say a couple. I did caricature, for example. I did comic book style. I did 3D, like like 3D animation that actually came from Jenny Young again. I'm shouting her out twice today because she has amazing visual style. And then I was like, fashion illustration. That sounds interesting. I used to love to draw fashion illustrations as a kid, and it was just I just added it in for fun. And when you run it through so many prompts, there is one image that just strikes you, and it just talks to you. So that's
Mhm.
what happened. It was like, oh my god, that is it. So it was just a discovery, basically. So it wasn't, like planned. Like this should make sense. And afterwards, I started connecting the dots. Like, of course, it should be a fashion illustration. I'm a feminine brand. Of course, it should be pink. So it was just from then on, it was building the narrative on the visual style that I decided to land on because it just spoke to me for some reason, and there was there's always a reason behind it. If something visually talks to you, you need to dig deep and find the reason why it is.
I think it's amazing because your style, it says everything without a word, you know? It tells me exactly who you are, and your AI meets girl boss, you've got this cool style, um, and I think some of the best brands or visual brands do exactly what you did. They merge elements. So
Mm.
you take fashion design and then you take sketch and then you merge that together and you toss in the signature pink flamingo and the colors and everything. So, it becomes a rich and unique visual that as soon as I see it I know it's you. And for anybody who's struggling with their brand, I would say do this. Go research online. There's a site called Cosmos. I don't know if you've
Mhm.
ever used Cosmos, but you can go there and get inspiration of just visual styles that you might like. And then also go look at different art styles or
Yeah.
photographic styles because you could build a whole visual board off of and I've done this just for fun. I actually haven't published any of these, but I did like I did a whole I lived in Dubai for a little while, so I did a whole like desert camel theme where I'm this, princess with this
Ooh.
flowing everything. I should post some of those just for fun.
Yeah,
But
def
yeah,
and then
I
I'll
do.
pay
I
to
mean, I was like the queen of the desert. Uh, I'll post it and dedicate it to you so you can see it. I'll, like, copy you. But, I did a whole little Red Riding Hood where I was out in the forest with my dog and, I mean, my new I okay, let me just pause because some of you don't know this, but I have a new community on School. It's called The Secret you've heard of it, The Secret Substack Monetization Society. And that the reason I'm over there is because of the community is so great and robust, but also there's a classroom there. So I built out a new course called the Subscribe Worthy Substack. In that course, I did a lot of play on images. And I'm gonna be doing more of that in my courses. I'm gonna be doing one based on the game Clue, one based on the movie Home Alone. So I'm gonna incorporate these different fun styles into some of my slides and different things that I'm doing. So you can always do stuff like that too. That's actually I'm gonna do a course on how to create those slides and mini
yeah,
course slides that are engaging. But um, yeah, you'll see.
there's
So
so
any
much
other
with visuals, like, just listening to you, I already have, like, ideas, like, what else needs to be done, like, if you have, like, a digital product, then you need to brand that as well, so and how do you build up that landing page, for example? What supporting visuals do you need to yeah, so it's a whole world.
it is a whole world. Yeah. And I actually do my image generation at night when I'm laying in bed, winding down. I'm just generating images and going through my prompts and just trying to build up a library of images that I'll have handy
Mhm.
for any time. Now, my brand style, you probably saw this. It used to be very hodgepodgey, and we talked about this because ah, it
That's a good
was
word.
I hated it. I hated it, and I didn't know what else to do, and I just ignored it because I knew it was gonna be a lot of work to rebrand. But I did it a couple months ago. I've been getting way more subscribers since that time. I think I showed you the receipts, I get
Crazy.
yeah, I've been getting, like, 1,000 subscribers a month. That's my rebrand. Whoa, you okay?
Sorry, I would like to start it too.
I thought it was a
No,
bird.
no, no, it
I thought
wasn't.
it was a
No,
flamingo.
my feet resting and I'm worried it's going to fall again.
I hope not.
I'm not going to
Um
listening.
So, I don't know, maybe I'll just start incorporating more fun images into my home page. Um, my style is still evolving, I think a little bit too. You know, I could take a whole section on the how-to guides and do different totally different style images from the other ones that I have on there. So,
Yeah, but
yeah.
also, like, I really like what you're doing because your brand is it builds so much on you as a person, like, you have a really strong self-brand, and if, if people are seeing your face as often as they're seeing yours, this is just for everyone who's listening. I think it's really good if if you just look for a professional style or something that you can keep consistent, and build on your self brand that you already have built. So don't go and toss that away just because you want a flamingo or something stupid like that. So it's yeah, I think the direction you took just makes a lot of sense, and I just love seeing it. And every time it comes across on my Substack, I know it's you because I know you incorporate the pink and the orange in your images. And it's so subtle, but if someone, starts seeing it over and over again, they'll just recognize it. So,
Powell told me this morning, "My images look a little plastic." I don't know if it was a Polish translation, but I'm actually happy with that because it is sort of a fictitious world, right?
yeah.
So, I'm putting myself in scenes where I've really been, because 'cause I've traveled to 38 countries, so I've had a lot of experiences, but there aren't real photos I took from that scene. I'll use my photo as a reference photo, and I'll say, "Build this out in my style, white
Mhm.
background, light background, pops of hot pink, pops of bright orange," and then it kind of is an amalgamation.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, we're
I do that a lot. I build a lot on like pop culture and
Mhm.
like movies and stuff that people know because those are stories that are being told and a lot of people resonate with them and know them. So like I did a post a few months ago with Katrin. Um, she's from Learn, Grow, Monetize, and we did like a Devil Wears Prada post, and it was about finding your niche. Like,
I saw it.
Candy found her niche, and she went to to Runway to work there, and it was just such a good parallel. And of course, like copyright still remains. So we, of course, didn't build a Miranda Priestley in with AI, but we added the little devil's ears and put her in a stiletto and stuff like that. So just elements that people recognize and they know what you're talking about or what you're referencing. So I think it's really good if you have some place where you can pull inspiration from. And I really love that you're pulling from your travels. That's
Yeah, nobody knows that, I don't think, but I don't talk about that on here very much. But yeah, I've traveled a lot, so, uh, and, Magic Mike is chiming in there. He thinks you're cute, Pinky.
Thank you. You're also cute. You chat also.
Cute, not cute, I don't know. Anyway,
No, I didn't
um,
mean to assume it's cute.
somebody's asking about Dubai. Dubai, how? I just you know what, I went for 2 weeks and I stayed for more than 2 months. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I traveled around all the Emirates. I was just telling, Robin about this on our call. Went to Oman. It's just a beautiful part of the world, and it's so safe and so wonderful. Um, and I get a lot of my inspiration for my images from there. They're very modern architecture and styles there. Everything's very clean and nice. Practically every place you walk into, you feel like you're in a luxury place. It's a super cool country.
Yeah, I've been to Dubai and it really is amazing. Like so
Mhm.
modern. Like
It is.
we didn't expect to it feels like a completely different world. So it's amazing how
Yeah,
they do there.
I know. I was in talking with Robin earlier, I'm like, "I wanna go back. Maybe I'll just go back and just live there for 6 months this time instead." Let's see. I feel Namia vibes with your background.
Hmm.
I'm not sure what that means. What's
Maybe
Namia?
she's referring to Narnia.
Oh, Narnia!
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, to me, it's more Middle Eastern vibes because it's based a
Mhm,
lot off of what I experienced there, but yeah, so don't be afraid to mix and match your styles because that is
mhm,
what creates that really unique brand it's gonna feel like you and you're never gonna get tired of it. 'Cause I was thinking, I was thinking about brands that change their branding and
mhm,
what that does to the customer.
mhm,
And I think a lot of times brands will think, "Oh, we need a refresh
mhm,
because it's getting old or stale." But that's not always the case in the customer's mind. Customers get very used to seeing a brand, and then, what that brand is all about. And then if you suddenly change all your colors and your style, they're confused. It's disorienting to them. So pick a brand that's meaningful, has deep meaning to you, and feels like you, and then stick with it.
mhm. Usually, I feel like when companies try to change their brand, they're actually trying to change who their customers are. So they're trying to change their audience. I think a couple of years ago, we had like a food delivery service in Hungary that rebranded 3 times within 2 years. And people just, started laughing at it. Like, this is crazy. Like, you can't even follow what's happening. But compared to the original brand, they did. I know why they did it. They wanted a younger audience. Their first brand was talking to like an older audience. It was, it didn't feel like a professional look, and I think, and they have really strong competitors on the market. So completely understandable, but it was to change their actual audience. So, what,
Mhm.
if I were to change something about my brand, which I'm not planning to do, but it would probably be to, I don't know, make it more relatable to men as well. But then I would need to lose my name, I'd need to lose my colors. And I actually did this post now for the 22 magazine covers, and I decided to feature only men because it was a strategic move because I was like, none of the men are opening my Substack channel. And I was like, I need to bring them in somehow. So and there are some really, really great non-Substackers who I am friendly with, and we do support each other's work. But even a couple of them said like, oh, they're going to try this, and they didn't realize it was so easy to generate images. So
Mm.
it's a great way to get them involved as well. But I'm not changing my branding, but I know that my branding means people who, are not as feminine will probably not subscribe. But it's
Yeah,
something to
I struggle with that too, but then I looked at my readership and I do have majority females in my audience, so that's just the way it is, in my courses, my paid offers, who I work with on one-on-one basis, majority is female. So for me, it makes sense. I do have males in there, but I'm not working on visual branding with them. So I think,
Yeah.
yeah, but you are. So, but you're
I
right.
actually have a paid subscriber who left me testimonials saying, I know you're writing to women, but it's just so useful. I needed to subscribe. Like, please don't say
Mhm.
sorry for subscribing.
Oh, no. I mean, a good branding professional can work across genders, no problem. So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Anything else you wanted to cover off today on before we sign off?
I
I
know
think
if there's
we
any questions, maybe. I see Calder said he's in. Yeah, I have a mail reader in the form of Calder Quinn. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, color's very important too. I see a lot of Substack publications that they just use like a blank a colored background and then just like
Mhm.
some kind of image. And that's okay, but I don't know. when I was a photographer, I used high contrast. So that's another element that I wanted to bring in. I was known for my high contrast photography. Um, and yeah, so I actually exhibited a few places and it's kind of like they accepted me as an exhibitor because of that. So I wanted to bring that in as well.
Mhm.
Um, but don't be afraid to experiment around. And, this is my second iteration at a visual brand, and I'm going to slowly be replacing the old images um, as I have more time. But it's worth it. It will do so much for your publication and attract more people. You've really grown fast. How you've
Yeah.
grown?
Mm,
Yeah.
I joined Substack 5 months ago, and I'm at, I think, 1,200, 1,100, somewhere close to there, subscribers now. So it's been crazy. Like the moment I rebranded, I was at 64 subscribers when I rebranded. And in 2 weeks, I surpassed 200 subscribers, which was really crazy for me because before then I was on Substack for 7 weeks, and that's how I reached 64 subscribers. So that was a crazy big shift. So it's just, I think it's a really great, I think both my example and your example, that if you start becoming consistent and recognizable, people will just keep coming back because of that 2-second rule that they recognize you. So they're like, oh, last time I read something really valuable here. And and maybe there's something valuable here now as well. So I highly encourage everyone to just make a couple of branding decisions, like visual branding decisions, and just stick to them. It will also make your life so much easier because I like the people who I start working with, they're like, oh, it's so overwhelming to generate images to figure out what my cover should be, what I should post about. And unless you have your visual rules locked and you have like an idea of what you're sticking to and never changing, it just gets so much easier. That way, you need to make so many, so it's less decisions you need to make. So I really, really recommend it. It saves you time, brings you recognizability, and yeah, maybe even subscribers. So both
Oh,
like
yeah.
both of your examples, I think are a really, really good example for that.
I used to spend so much time just generating one image and it was okay. But never really happy with it. And now it's just like I have this whole bank of images and I just pick one and stick it in and it's ready to go and I don't have to mess around too much. Um, but anyway, let's see. Jumped into the scene. The loop book was amazing and really jumped into the scene. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
The
I did a
look
lookbook
book, yeah.
the beginning of the year. It was like how you envision 2026. And I invited 11 Substackers to just submit an image and a short, like, it was like a gallery wall. You just write a short description, like what you think 2026 is going to bring you, and attach a visual in your branding style. So that was something that I asked them to do. Like, don't try to bring something different, bring it in your branding style. And that was something that's when I realized that community is the other thing that's really important on here. Like, of course,
Community is huge.
recognition, but
Yeah.
that's the driver. So visual
Yeah.
branding is is part of it, but community is the actual engine behind it. So
Yeah, and the more you can engage your community, the better. You do a really great job of that, as well. I dropped my, school community link in the chat if you guys wanna join over there, it's free. The community's free, there's some courses there, I don't charge a lot, I just want people to build their businesses and monetize their knowledge. So, that's where everything's happening right now, and Substack, of course, is my favorite place to be, so
and
'cause
I
then you
learned
can
that from school as well, like your school, because it was like I didn't understand why my notes weren't performing so well. And you just
oh,
gave
yeah.
us insights and ideas of like how to reset the Substack algorithm, and that you were like, well,
Oh,
Substack
yeah.
is not as complicated as people tend to,
It isn't, that's yeah. Did that
So
work for you, by the way?
yeah, it did. I tried it, and now everything's back to normal. So highly recommend. Like, Carrie has all the secrets. She has all.
And that's
She
why
has.
it's called the Secret Substack Monetization Society. The word secret is key there. So if you want all the secrets, join.
It's true. I
Anyway,
had one question and you solved it. So I'm like, thank you. Thank you, Queen.
you're welcome. Oh gosh. Well, it's been a big pleasure to finally meet you in person and see your smiling face. And you're as delightful as in person as you are in the brand. So it's been great. Thank you everybody for joining today. Um, we'll see you on the next one, I guess. We'll just end here. All right. Have a great week, everybody.
Have a great week. Weekend.
Weekend. Yes. All right. Bye.